Mercedes-AMG E63 Review. The Mercedes-AMG E63 S4matic and isn't quite the first production super-saloon to venture into 600 and something horsepower territory that Accolade went, a couple of years ago, to the Cadillac CTS-V, but it's one whose arrival on UK roads still feels like a watershed moment, both for its maker and for its performance breed. With this car, one of Europe's most celebrated purveyors of the evergreen performance executive saloon is breaking with tradition in order to carry on going above and beyond our expectations. Just like the fast saloons that AMG has been making so well for decades, the new E63 has a forced induction V8 engine powerful enough to be worthy of a contemporary supercar. But unlike those forebears, it switches from one driven axle to two, and from coil springs to adaptive air suspension. Mercedes-AMG tweaks make E63 a real powerhouse. The drivetrain alteration will allow AMG much greater penetration in what must be its biggest single market, the USA, where four-wheel drive remains the key to selling premium branded cars both on the eastern seaboard and elsewhere. The suspension change, meanwhile, should allow AMG to create a broader base of flexibility for the E63's ride and handling, letting it remain poised and under control even when driven at the limit of that 604 bhp, all-corner powertrain, but also to be more comfortable than any E63 thus far. This will be our first extended test of the car anywhere on the road, and our first real chance to investigate the latter part of that potential. Mercedes-AMG will offer the E63 in both regular form, 563 bhp, and as this more powerful S model, and with a choice of 4-door saloon or 5-door estate body styles. The AMG E-Class range is propped up a 3.0-liter V6 E43 model which is good for 395 bhp, while we expect all three engines to appear in the E-Class Coupe and Cabriolet in due course. All models have a clutch-based four-wheel drive system that can send up to 100% of engine torque to either axle, and that works downstream of a 9-speed automatic gearbox. Opt for the E63s and you get access to a drift mode, through which you can effectively disengage the car's front driveshafts and return to AMG's traditional rear-wheel drive mechanical specification. However, as we'll get on to explaining, this mode is only accessible after much button pressing, and in quite particular circumstances. Unleashing the blown AMG V8 motor. As quick as the majority of super sports cars in a straight line, and quicker, surely, than anyone would even consider driving it with any of its passenger seats occupied. The E63's engine is breathtaking, wonderfully noisy, violent, and more authentic sounding than so many modern piped-in V8s. Using twin-scroll turbochargers to produce its 604 bhp, it runs in an even more fierce specification here than in Mercedes-AMG's range-topping GT-R two-seater sports car. And it's that torque peak of 627 pounds-foot, together with the unburstable traction provided by the car's drivetrain, that makes the E63 so rapid. Launch the car using the race start function and the driveline seems to hesitate for the briefest of instants as you lift your left foot off the brake pedal as if deciding afresh every time exactly how many engine revs to use, how much torque to allow into the driveline in the opening split seconds of your run, how much to send to each axle, and finally, how to split what's under the loaded rear axle between the individual rear tires. Seems fair enough, there are a few sums to do there, after all. But the pause is almost imperceptible. Before first gear is done and dusted, the car feels as it is running at a palm-moistening full chat. The delivery isn't as seamless as in some turbocharged V8s, it surges a little as the turbos recover from every post-shift interruption in throttle, rushing towards the red line with gathering force, too. This is, of course, the sort of performance whose wildest extent you can only enjoy for an instant on the road, and even then only if you are brave enough. But it's intoxicating, and it keeps Mercedes-AMG on the cutting edge of the super saloon class as far as acceleration is concerned, which is plainly where it wants to be.